So Tanya just said to me, where am I going? And I said, I'm just going to go up and worm the horses. Mine are due wormers now. And I'm just about to pop up and worm them. And Tanya said, look, you know you get lots of messages
people
about,
struggling.
Yeah, it is quite a topic, very much of a problem with a lot of horses to put aura wormers in. And we've gone to jobs like that. So Tanya said, why don't you just film it? Now, guys, there's been no preparation for this today. I was just coming up, going to just get on with it. We're going to try not to edit it at all.
So I grabbed my camera, my phone.
We're going to try not to edit it. It's exactly as you know, I've just come up. Now, I've got the wormers ready. Tan?
Yeah, I've just zoomed into those.
You've zoomed into them. But make sure, obviously, guys, I have to say this, make sure you set for the amount of weight your horse is for the wormer. It is quite important. I've seen people put a whole one in a small little horse and it can give them stomach upsets and whatever. So they're set ready, okay? I must tell you that if you have got a horse that's really bad for oral worming and they throw their heads up and that's going to have a knock-on effect for all things like bridling, putting the halts on and everything. So you wouldn't attempt what I'm going to do now to show you how I do my worming of young horses. And remember, Rolex, I'm going to worm him. I haven't wormed him for about 5.5 years since he's come back to me. I haven't wormed him, so I have no idea at all how Rolex will be with me, so that'll be interesting. I presume he'd be fine. So they're all ready for me to worm. Obviously, like I was just saying, I've prepared these young. I've had them for both about a year now, or just over. They do lower their heads for me. They do know about the groundwork. They do respect my space. They don't ever take feed from my hand. Never have, never will. But I do use the little licks, which they separate out. They don't come into my space and take my feed. And like I told Tanya last night, we get so many messages asking us to go and help horses that have been clicker trained. Now, you know, there is a time and a place for some people to use those sort of methods, or those very few people that do use those methods. I will be doing a video because I get asked a lot about, do I hand feed, okay? And I always try and say no. For 25, 30 years, since I met the people that I train with, a common denominator was people who had great horses and had great information, who had learnt over the centuries of horsemanship. They don't, as a rule, don't allow a horse to come and take its feed. That's not how a horse's mind works. And they love, which we can love on them, language, which is the feet, and leadership. And allowing a horse to constantly take feed from us is not leadership. But I will be doing a video. It will be a little bit controversial video, but it needs saying because people keep asking me all the time about this constant hand feeding and click training and target training for horses, and I don't do it. People are asking my opinion. I will just give my opinion, and it will be a little bit controversial, but I will not, you know, slag any other system off. I'll just give you the reasons why I don't do it. So getting back to these horses that I'm going to worm, they all know about and are aware about lowering their heads and also opening their mouths when I put my thumb in their mouths, which all equates to the bridling. So, no further ado. It is windy, Tan.
Well, you have got your super duper mic on.
I've got my mic on. We'll
Let's
see how
hope.
we'll see how the mic goes.
And you've just
You've
lost your list.
You've started riding, haven't you? You started riding. Now, a couple of people, Tanya did, a couple of people have mentioned
your list is going.
That, a couple of people have mentioned. We put a little video on. I went riding with Charlotte. We've restarted Chevy about ages of horses to start them. Most quarter horses, especially in the States, are started at 2 years of age. Quarter horses tend to mature pretty quickly, but I don't start horses at 2. Some people do, and they start race horses even earlier than that. Chevy's not far off 4 now. He's built like a brick. So he is, in my opinion, more than ready
Oh, Chevy.
to start riding. He's Now, when we start riding a 4-year-old, 3.5, 4-year-old,
Sorry.
we don't, look, he's jealous, Tan.
Oh, you're jealous, Chevy. I'll stand by you, Chevy. Oh, Chevy.
Yes, Tan, this is important now.
Sorry.
So, we don't, obviously I'm starting. Are you pinning your ears because you don't want him to be, you do get jealous, I'm not going to start riding him hours a day. He'll be ridden a few, 10 minutes he was ridden on the mountain the other day. I got off him more times than I got on him. Well, no, that don't make sense, does it? But I got off him and led him loads. And that's how we'll build it up. And that's absolutely fine, guys. And you've got to kind of listen to, I think you've got to listen, rather than listen to some people who do all of these posts about growth plates and things like that. Really, hey, monkey, is listen to people who have started hundreds and hundreds of horses. I have. Some of the big people that I trained with, they have. And
you're bored, Chevy.
I'm telling you the truth, guys. He's ready to ride. So, okay. With no further ado, as it comes now,
I said that once already.
Tanya,
Just get on with it.
get on. Right then, okay. So, I'm going to go in here now. I'm going to back him up away from me. Come on. Right, so I backed him away from the door. Even putting this on, I'm going to think about, because I'm going to be worming, I'm going to think about his head not going up. Now I want to do it up. I push my hip in so he comes around. Hip in, take it off so he comes around. And that's done up nicely. Hey, monkey, are you showing us you're still on your baby? Right, perfect opportunity. Let's take that out. Right, now I'm only going to take my finger out when he came my way. So, before I start the worming process, I've now done a couple of things there. I'm going to now, can I go past you out there?
Yeah.
Right, I've got my flag in case I need it.
Oxy.
So, obviously, I can't take all day at this, but I've got Chevy now. Will he stop? Will he back up? Lovely and soft. I'm going to send him your way, Tan. Will he go around me?
I'm going to stand over here.
And listen to me. So he's going around me. Will he disengage his hindquarters? And will he go around me to my left? Will he disengage his hindquarters and go round to the right? He will. He's respecting me. He's stopping. Tell him how good he is. Can I position his head where I'd want to worm him? Can I put my finger in and release it when he comes to me? Put my finger in, release it when he comes to me. Tell him how good he is. Finger in, release it when he comes to me. So that's how I start the bitting process. So that halter's a little bit big for him. It'll be all right for a minute. Right, so just before I go and put the wormer in, I'm going to just quickly side him up. Any opportunity I get for siding up with a horse that I'm just starting again, touch him to a stop. Absolutely brilliant, isn't he? Isn't he? And I'm going to jump down, and that's great because when I used to jump down, he used to get frightened. So now we'll take him. Now you'll notice, stop, back up a little bit, and one more step. Right, I've got, these are important for the way I worm. For a youngster, if you're going to tie them up, which I am for this. So there is my little tie on. So we'll go through to where, what you lot looking at?
You're next.
Why the long face?
Yeah.
Right, so now there's lots and lots and lots of ways to worm. If I wasn't doing this is a system I think will help a lot of people. I would have probably had this done by now, obviously, because I know they were going to be all right with me. You're a bit jumpy. Right, so what I've got here, I've got a little lick in there. Okay, there's a lick in there which he wants to get at. Now I put it there sometimes when I leave them here for a while. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take hold, now that's not the way you'll get it, by going to it. Now then, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put this in.
Cowpaw syringe.
Yeah, cowpaw syringe. Right, now I'm going to take it out. Now I'm going to bring him to his lick. I'm going to let him have his lick for about 10 seconds. If I wanted to tie him, I could, but with this, then it'll come, you know, it'll release if he had a problem. Right, so now I'm going to ask him to back up with a bit of softness.
Have you got the wormer?
I'm going to get that in a second. Right, now I'm going to put this syringe in, take it out when he's with me. Yeah. Now we'll give him the lick, and I'm going to repeat this process for a couple of times. And that's his set for his weight. Right. Back him up. Okay. Check. That's getting better already. Now he can have his lick. And now what I'm going to do, this is just like catching a horse that doesn't want to be caught. Go and give him a carrot in the field, chuck it on the floor, back them up a little bit away from you, chuck it on the floor 6 times out of 7, and on the 7th time you get them, you can, okay. So this one now, in here, I've already prepped him for this. And that's in. Bring him to his lick.
Oh,
Bring him
like
into
that.
his lick.
Ew, it's nasty, he says. That's nasty, Dad. You tricked me. Have your lick, Chevy.
You gotta laugh at you. So what I'm gonna do for 2 minutes is just leave him tied there.
Look at Chevy, it'll take the taste away.
Mate! Mate! I'd like him to just have one quick lick of that. One quick lick of that, and then... No? Maybe a carrot. I'll grab a carrot. I just like his last thought to be something a little bit... What did I do with that? Carrot. I'll put a carrot on top of it. There you go. Did he eat it? He did eat the carrot, didn't he? Right.
Oops, Daisy. He dropped it. Put it back in there, Chevy. You don't.
So, wormed.
Oh! He
Wormed.
threw it out again.
Right. Let's go and
Roxy.
put him in.
Oh, she'll eat the carrot if I don't move it. Roxy, come
So
out.
next is
Roxy.
Rolex next. No, Tan. Here. Okay, now before I go, I want to make sure there, he's still coming to me to get rid of. Yeah, that's where he gets the release. And taking this off is just when he gives to me. All right?
Okay.
So that's one.
One done.
One done.
2 to go. Roxy, watch her.
Go on.
Roxy, come on. You don't want wormers. This is just a tablet.
Right. What I'm going to do, because I don't really want people, hey mate. I don't really want people tying them. I was going to show you a method of tying them to do it, but I don't think I should do it. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, so next is Rolex. Rolex, mate. I haven't wormed you for a long time. I would presume, same thing again, I'm looking at the feet to back these feet up. I don't want to be pushing a horse back. And for putting this on, I'm going to actually move him over a touch, right. For putting this on, he can smell the wormer. Right, is again, I want hip, take the hip off when he comes to me. So all of this is preparing him not only for bridling, but for things like the wormers. Right, things like the wormers. So there, that's lovely. Right, so can I put my thumb in and take it out exactly the same? He can smell, he can taste the wormer. You can taste the wormer. Right then in and take it out there. Hey mate, in and take it out there. It's where I take it out, because for the worming, so many horses go up and away and it affects all of that bridling terribly. So a quick bit of groundwork, just very quickly. Just very, very quickly, a little bit of a
Next, Jimmy.
So, hindquarters, front quarters, hindquarters, front quarters, hindquarters, stop, back up with softness, lovely, lovely jubbly. You're not having stop when I stop. Will you lower your head? Will you lower your head? Can I put my finger in your mouth? And and he went over here for me to get rid of it. Quick side up. Just getting him listening, not avoiding.
Good boy.
Absolutely superb. Right.
Boy.
So with him, I don't think I would have to use the lick, but I'm going to. I'm going to, because it's gonna. People will only really. Actually, Tanya, I'm not going to use the lick with him. So if you don't think, guys, you want to use the lick, I find it's very, very helpful. Stop. Back up 2. Right, I find it's helpful using the lick. Here. Where's my, if you hold that, I'll use the syringe first. Right, he knows about that lick there, look, doesn't he? Right, so let's put that in. That's where he got rid of it. Tell him how good he is. Tell him how good he is. Put it in here. You can put some sweet solution in that, like a honey solution or anything. So now we put the proper one in, right? Proper one in. That's all done, but only take it out when it goes there. Now we'll see if he wants his lick.
Take the taste away.
There you go.
Oh, good boy, Rolex.
Now, I know I shouldn't be telling stories on a video like this, Tanya, but I'm going to, because something's just reminded me about something in my life.
What you going to say?
What am I going to say?
The day you got wormer in your mouth.
Guys, how long ago was that? 10 years more?
I would say 10.
10 years ago, I was worming a horse, a young horse, a customer's horse, and there was a noise came as I was worming this young horse, and this young horse flicked his nose like that, and a bunch of wormer, a big globular wormer, went into my mouth. Actually went into my mouth. And I don't know if anyone's ever wondered why, like you just saw Rolex and Chevy going and trying to get rid of the wormer. And I don't know if any of you ever thought, well, why can't they just push it all out? Well, I know why. Because this wormer glob went into my mouth, went, right? And within seconds, a couple of seconds, it had all kind of melted and I couldn't get it out my mouth. It was all it just like disappears into your mouth. It's just the weirdest feeling. So I couldn't get it out. So I ran to the tap in the barn, to the hose, and I couldn't get the bayonet off, which I wanted to, like, with fresh water do in my mouth and gargle, and I couldn't get it off. And in front of it was a big tub like those yellow ones there, Tan.
Yeah, well, you keep full of water.
Yeah, full of water. But this water had been there a long time. Okay, it's kind of from the drip in, and it should have been changed, and it was just there. And I would panic a little bit, and I gargled with that water that had been there quite a long time. It didn't look that dirty, but it had been there a long time. 2 days later, I went down to the barn early on the morning, and I felt the weirdest sensation in my knees, my legs. I felt weird, and I went to bend down in the barn, and I was like on like sponges on my knees. I thought, this is not right. So I went back into the house, and I says, Tanya, I don't feel well. Something's wrong. She went, oh my God, your eyes are yellow. Your eyes are yellow.
You were yellow too.
Yellow. I'd gone really, really yellow, and I thought there's something really bad here. Tanya drives me down to the doctor's, emergency, right? Emergency, straight in. He took one look at me. He says, you need to get down to the hospital right away. You're in full jaundice. So I went straight to the local hospital, and I'll cut this short because I could go on about this for hours. 2 weeks later, I'm there, and I've lost all sense. I mean, I was in a right mess, and they didn't know what was wrong. And Tanya came down, and while Tanya was there, we were all worried about what's going on with me. I was just yellow, not feeling well. The doctor, the main liver doctor.
I'm impressed. You've skipped a lot of this. I'm impressed with you.
Yeah, I've skipped a lot of this.
The
main doctor came and sat by me, and Tanya said, "What's wrong with him?" I don't know. Why he's so yellow?
She was a liver specialist.
Tanya went up the wall. She went, "We need to know more. He's going to die if you don't do something." So she screamed the place down.
I did.
And
I said I want him moved
the doctors said, what we'll do, we'll send his blood
to Birmingham.
QE. To the QE,
Liver specialist.
Queen Elizabeth, that's 300 mile away. And they do the QE, Queen Elizabeth. They do all the liver specialists, and they do all the soldiers that have problems, war injuries. It's an amazing hospital. And they sent some blood samples. No, not the blood samples, the readings from the blood. And within 30 minutes, I was being rushed in an ambulance to the QE. And I was there for weeks and weeks and weeks, quarantined because they didn't know what was wrong with me. And they took 12 blood samples a day. I had, at one time, 12 doctors in my room, all saying, you're an anomaly. We don't know what's wrong with you. And they couldn't give me any medicine because
liver was getting worse and worse.
And the one day I'd wrote all my letters, hadn't I, to everyone.
Yeah.
Wrote all my letters. I got to the stage where I couldn't think straight, and everyone all my main friends came and to say to her, didn't they, Tan?
Yeah. For school friends.
And that following day, I was at my worst. Tanya was sat there. And I remember it, the curtains going. Do you remember, Tan?
Yes.
And what was the name of the doctor?
Oh, I can't remember his name, but he was a lovely
young doctor. And he opened the curtains.
But he put his thumbs up.
He put his thumbs up like that. And I remember just looking, and Tanya goes, what doctor? Haven't you heard? And we hadn't heard anything.
No, because they couldn't treat you because they didn't know what it
couldn't
was.
treat. And he said, his bloods have recovered overnight, his liver's kicked in, and we know what it was. It was hepatitis E. And for whatever reason, guys, my liver started to work.
And
let me just say,
sorry.
and the what hepatitis E comes from
Dirty water.
dirty water. It can have
Because they say that it could be a mouse or a rat.
yeah,
that,
rats, whatever.
weed in the water.
There's a different. If it's definitely a rat, it's a different disease slightly. But I got better over a course of about a month, and I had to go back and have things checked, and I got better and better and better. And they said to me, right, Stephen, in India, there's very dirty water in the rivers in India, and he said you could now go in the dirtiest water and not get ill because my liver has had hepatitis C, so I can have worse water now.
And I'm just going to say something
Well.
here. You know, it does worry me sometimes, and you know, and it's quite innocent.
Yeah.
You know, people post of their children drinking out the same water. You know,
Well,
of the horses.
that's
I
not
know
for us
people
to say.
do. No, I
Th-
know
this
that,
was-
but all I'm saying is,
yeah.
every time I see that, I think about
Well,
you doing it and ending up really
You know,
poorly.
so round horses, guys, be a bit careful.
Yeah.
What Tanya's saying is, I'm guilty of it now. You go and do the stables and then eat a sandwich. I mean, that's what horse people do. But be aware of stagnant water because that's where I got this hepatitis C and nearly killed me, guys. So that was the wormer going in my mouth. So I know what these horses feel like when the wormer's in there and they can't get rid of it. It's just weird. So look at that, the way he's finished off, guys. This is how Chevy and Jimmy would be after maybe 5 or 6 wormings. So he now, with that worming going on, he's had a lovely end to this. So I'll put him back in, okay? Now I'm gonna back him away from it. To wait till he goes soft in the jaw there. It's all about where we release, not the release, it's about where we release. So that leaves Jimmy Jim Bob. Go on. Come on. Right. So Tanya. So
Stephen?
so now he moved into my space a little bit there, which I've backed him up. So remember, this only goes off. I'm going to push my hip in and wait till he came soft there. And that's good. So, we've got one more. Last but not least, Jimmy Jim Bob. So,
Jimmy.
he's a bit less weight.
Oh, Jimmy man, when are you coming back? He's got his rug on.
Oh, has he? Oh, it doesn't matter. Right,
Hey, Jimmy.
so Jimmy's is set.
Hey, Jimmy.
Now, so Jim Bob. All right, let's move him back out my space. One more step. Right, pull this forward. So no difference with any of the others. He's only a 2-year-old. Same thing. Hip, get him to give his nose to me. Oh, that's lovely. That feels lovely. That feels lovely. Hip in. Now it's off because he gave. Put that on. Mate, how about that? How about that, mate? Hey. Right
Jimmy.
then. Same
You've got
thing.
a lot of fans,
look,
Jimmy.
Look. Wait till that comes there. Take it out. Jim Bob. Why do I always call him Jim Bob now, Tanya?
Jim
so,
Bob.
same thing. Hand there. I'm going to put my thumb in and only take it out when he comes this way. And that is all to do with bridling. That comes from bridling. So what I'll do now, tiny bit of groundwork. We don't do much with you because you've had a gravel. You've had a bad gravel, haven't you, Jimmy? It's been quite a severe one, but he's getting
people that
better
don't know
now.
what that is, it's they get
Yeah,
a bit of
it's
gravel
an
in their
it's
hoof
an
and it
abscess.
gets it turns into
It's an abscess. So
But
while
it is
I'm
getting
in,
better.
while I'm in here, I'm going to flex him left and right. This is all about lightness. They've never now. Jimmy again. He is the last horse in the world you would take constant treats and treat him because he would have your lunch. He doesn't get treated at all. Now I'm going to wait here till he gives his chin. till he stops his feet and gives his chin nice and soft.
Well, he gets treated, but he goes in the bucket.
He goes in a bucket and he steps back. Leadership is the big one for these horses. All they care about is having a leader. Then they can. Now, a leader is not, in my opinion, from my learnings and all my experiences, being a leader is not allowing them to come into your space and take feed from you. That's not how it works in their mind. And when push comes to shove, they do end up mugging you, and they end up all sorts of terrible things. And there's a quote in one of the best books on horsemanship through Feel. There's a quote in there, and I'll show that right now. It's always stuck with me. The little quote. Okay, so I've found that sort of paragraph. So this is about unlearning some of the habits we have that we unlearn. And if I come down to here, habits our horses don't need us to have. Now, remember whose words these are, guys. They're the Dorrance brothers. Really, really great horses they had. And so there's some habits that a person can get into that are the start of some trouble spots in the horse. And these are apt to show up later and be spoken about as big problems coming from the horse. These are the kinds of habits that people are going to need to unlearn. Okay, they need to be unlearned. One real common habit is the way so many people stand right in front of their horses. They're liable to crowd right in on them at the front and feed him out of their own hand. Horses that have a tendency to nip at a person and crowd up close to them are liable to be the ones that expect to be in line for those handouts. It's sure not the best idea to teach your horse about this, and it could be among the worst, guys. Now remember, I think it's about 30% of the horses that I go to help these troubled horses. About 30% have been heavily hand-fed, and an awful lot of them clicker trained as well. So there's an important line that needs to be in there between a person and the horse. Feeding a horse this way leads to so many other problems that are caused by the disrespect he learns from people who teach him to cross that important line so he can get those handouts. The actual fact is that when people cross that important line, they are teaching that horse to be disrespectful. You're actually teaching the disrespect, because horses do not share feed with each other. But most people don't even realise this. If you have good feelings for your horse, why, there's a lot better ways to show him this than feeding him from your hand. The way I like to teach people to show this horse is by teaching them how to feel of the horse. Then the horse can learn to feel of them, and the two of them can move up the line together. Things are liable to work out for them real smooth when it's this way. And guys, that's how it is for me lately. And I would not even consider letting a horse take food from my hand. It's not the treats that are the problem. It's the encouragement the horse gets to disrespect you and your space in the course of retrieving these treats that becomes the problem. When your presentation changes, his response to you will change. If he has to reach down to the ground and eat his treats or find them in a bucket, our horse will appreciate them just as much. And I've just added there, I actually step them back. I've found over the years that's helped me more. So yeah, I just wanted to, that's what I was talking about with the book. Guys, I've just added this little bit in, just something to look at while I talk for a second. I've gone a little bit deeper with this, my views on hand feeding, clicker training, target and treat training, and I wanted to leave that for a main video, but I just needed to say before we carry on with the worming video that there are a lot of very, very gifted horsemen who do use treats in training, and even I've seen some do a target, only a little bit of it, but target and treat training. But what's failed to be mentioned and get over to the riders, horse owners, is the fact that these gifted horsemen, they know all of these disrespectful signs and when a horse is starting to get pushy, and they're so gifted they can use it then as a little bit of an advantage, like circus performers, that those kind of people. They're amazingly gifted people. Most people who treat a lot and use these methods, they've kind of gone that way because, or at least a big proportion of them, that they're not naturally gifted horse people, and they've tried other systems, and then they get a quick response from doing a little bit of click and treat or target and treat training, and then that's where it all goes south. So, all I could say is don't be fooled. Be very, very careful what you do and what you follow, and I'm going to leave it at that with the video that I'm going to produce. I'm hoping it will really open a lot of people's eyes, and a lot of people will start to unlearn after watching it. And of course, you will, you might have heard, oh, it's science-based. Well, I've really looked deeply into that, guys, and it's absolutely not. There's not science-based. It is actually anti-science in the long term. And that's all I'll say for now. That I really feel I need to do a really good job of a video, and then people can make their own mind up on how they go forward training horses. So yeah, I'll leave it at that and get back to the worming. Guys, I hadn't even noticed, but Tanya just noticed, there's words, there's word scripting on this little clip I put in, just something to look at while I explain those words. And it's actually a song. That's a song, because of copyright, it had this not allowed to have sound. So that's why those words, if you was reading it thinking, what's he saying? And very finally, I promise you now, finally, what I didn't mention is, from the book Horsemanship Through Feel, and the fact that I'm on this subject of allowing horses to take feed from our hand, I'll never forget the day I picked up Leslie Desmond. That's the author, Leslie Desmond, of this great book. I picked Leslie up 20 odd years ago from Cardiff Airport, and I picked her up. I'd already met her in California and arranged for her to come over and do a clinic and stay with me. And we rode out every day with horse together and learned an awful lot. And I'll never forget, there was ever such a little lady, and that makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, you're bigger than me," or women can't. Leslie's a tiny little lady, and yet she can get a lot done with a horse, guys. A lot done with a horse. But I remember grabbing Leslie's little case, going out to the car park, getting into my car, and I'll never forget, Leslie said, "Oh, I'd rather sit in the back." So Leslie sat in the back with her stuff, and the first thing she said to me before we got out of the car park, said, "Stephen," she said, "can I ask you an honest question? Do you hand feed your horses?" I said, "Well, Leslie, I very occasionally do, but yes, I am guilty of..." And she looked square at me and said, "After my visit, you never will again, with the things I'm going to show you and what it can cause." Right, so Jimmy, let's see you in here. Let's just get him listening to me.
Roxy. Name's Thomas.
Right, Jim Bob. Right then, will he back up with a bit of softness, a 2-year-old? Yes. Will he disengage his hind end? Yes. Will he send his front end around me? Disengage. Send his front end around. Stop. Send his front end around. Come on, Jim Bob. Lovely. Let's just see if he sides up. Any opportunity for siding up
5
is
minutes.
great for me. Touch him to a stop.
Good boy,
Absolutely
Jimmy.
brilliant.
Good boy, Jimmy.
Hey, ain't they, Tan?
Yeah.
Ain't they? Right then. So. Right then, let's see how this worming's going to go with Jimmy. But it's really important to me to get some listening for the groundwork, get connected to a certain extent with their feet just prior to doing this. I found that really helps. So, okay, let's back him up here. Bit of softness. Let's get this in here. Right, there's the, again, you can use a sweet solution. A sweet solution if you want, in these little ones like that. A little bit of like honey syrup.
You can actually from the pharmacy get a proper syringe. Those are just the kids'
Oh,
ones,
yeah,
but you
that's
can
right.
get a proper one. But, that's all
But
we
yeah,
have, this
that's what I would.
one.
So there's a time and place for this feed.
Yeah.
Things like this, things like the trailer. When they're in, when they've done, then they can enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to back him up 2 times here, 3 times. Right. Now I'm going to put the syringe in. Wait till he's there. Oh, lovely. Put that, let him have that again. Okay, so that's twice. You can do it more. And I've set this one because he's a bit slightly less weight than the others, although he's starting to get bigger. Okay, so release for each foot. He doesn't want to back up very much because of his foot. And then same thing again, he'll come into me there. Now
Let me see his face.
yeah, now we can have
Oh,
that.
Jimmy. Perhaps he needs a carrot. Can
yeah,
you get a carrot?
hold him there a minute.
Yeah.
You don't step on your.
Hey, Jimmy. All right, boy.
A couple of carrots in there for him. Again, I'm going to put carrots in here, but watch what I do, guys. Right, he's out my space. Now they're in there. Now he can come in. Come on, that big for you, is it? That. Right then. There you go. Tell him how good he is. Now, I've used this system for years, and by about the fourth or fifth worming, they are absolutely no trouble at all for worming. And what I didn't do with Rolex was check that he was still accepting my hand. On the last thought of him, I didn't do it with Rolex. He doesn't need it, but I will do that with him when I put him in the stable now. So, mate, it's not a bad thing, is it? But that's all the prep that I've already done. That's all on my subscription channels and videos on in the main world site of me bridling. It's all to do with the same thing. Right, okay, now let's put him away. Here's an opportunity for me to stop him. There's the lunge. Forward with the feet, and there's the trailer in. Disengaging. Back up with softness. Back another step. There you go. Now then, can you look, guys?
Yeah.
He's getting rid of that. Take this off. The only way this comes off, Jimmy Jimbo is there. So, look, he's stable time.
Oh,
God.
Okay, door.
Okay, door. So, I hope some people get something from what I've just done. That's all totally as it happened. No editing. A lot of editing on videos. I try to do as little as possible. So that's all as it happened. They're all worm. They're all happy.
That's a wrap.
And I think, yeah, that's a wrap on this one. Well, I hope that's helped some people. So yeah, cheers,
Okay.
Sam.